host, Matt Z. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to all you beautiful humans out there who are tuning into today's episode. And with that being said, on today's episode, I have a flat earther join me today, and his name is Flat Earth Dave, the host of the Flat Earth podcast. And yes, that is a lot of flat earth, but I can guarantee you, you will not be let down by today's episode. I had an absolute blast recording this episode first and foremost, and I'm sad that we ran out of time, the two of us, as I could have kept asking questions until the sun went down. And before I let you folks dive into the podcast, I just want you guys to think, at the end of the day, not only is it interesting to hear somebody out and somebody's perspective on something, but I do feel like this is an important trait that we as a society has lost. The ability to hear out the other side. And this is so clear when it comes to politics, but and no matter how crazy and how out to lunch they may seem, at the end of the day, it was awesome to hear out Dave and attempt to understand where he got his perspective from, as I feel like it's an important thing to learn. And I know from having this podcast, it did only deepen my belief that the world is, in fact, round. But I appreciate Flat Earth Dave for trying to turn me on to the dark side. But that's just my opinion. So I don't know. There's just too much evidence and not enough science that makes sense in his arguments, no offense, to change my opinion. While it is fun to toy with this idea of flat earth and this and that, there just is too much evidence in our everyday lives to change the fact that we're on a flat surface. He'll go into it, he'll explain it, so you guys will understand what I'm trying to say. But even if I still don't understand it, but to give you guys a recap of how the podcast did go, for the first hour, Dave does majority of the talking as I kind of learn his perspective of what is happening. And then for the last, 20 minutes or so, I began to try and poke some holes into his perspective. And it really wasn't that hard to make a claim, but the hard part was his linguistic skills of the subjects he was talking about. He knew how to flip a fact, or in his perspective, an opinion that I would present to him, and then ignore to answer the opinion that I brought up, and goes down another rabbit hole. And before I felt the need to interrupt and ask again, I had 5 other questions that I was like, I need to ask this. And you're like, oh, never mind. But I feel it was a constant bombardment of information and continually on to the next thing. He knew how to word things and to turn a counter argument against you, even if he had a baseless claim from some YouTube video he listened to. But at the end of the day, thank you so much, Flat Earth Dave, for coming on the podcast Off the Dome. I had a blast and a half with you, and I really appreciate having this healthy debate where we present each other's perspectives. And I hope we can do this again sometime in the future, because it was fun. Can't even lie about that. At the end of the day, though, in each other's worlds, we are both crazy. So I think we'll just leave it at that. But everybody, please put your hands together for the mythical Flat Earth Dave. Enjoy, everybody. 2, 1. All righty, we are live on Off the Dome. Welcome, Flat Earth Dave, the host of the Flat Earth podcast. How are you doing today, man? Great to see you on this podcast, and I'm looking forward to this. I'm super excited to sit down and shoot the shit with you.
Matt, and the name of your podcast is Off the Dome, but you believe the Earth is a spinning globe.
Absolutely, I do. Yeah.
So what's with the name?
I'm gonna guess you believe the Earth is flat.
No, untrue. I know it's not a globe.
What just dive right into it, because why not? What type of object do you think we live on?
I think we live on a flat, immovable, stationary plane. Highs and lows, mountains and valleys and everything, but water shows that the Earth is level. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat, testably, scientifically, provably flat. And that's something we're going to talk about, something we can look into. But here's the thing. Globe earthers have misconceptions of what flat earthers believe. Globe earthers I said, you know what? I heard about this flat Earth. Let me Google flat Earth, and boom, they Google flat Earth. They get this. This is
Yeah.
not what flat Earth is. This no flat earther even conceives of anything like this. Right? This is what globe earthers think flat Earth is. So what is flat Earth? Well, the world that we live in, the world that we can explore, is clearly not moving, not spinning like they tell us, and flat. So where do we live? We live in what I call the world pond, right? A pond is a body of water that has a container. That's the land that's around the pond that's higher than the level of the pond, right? Lower one side of the pond, what happens? The water is going to find its next level, right? So what is the container of our world? The container of our world is the shoreline of our world pond, and that is Antarctica. They tell us Antarctica is a continent at the bottom of the world, of the ball. They tell us it's the highest land on Earth. At least they tell us something true. But the truth is, Antarctica is bigger than the rest of the world combined.
Mm-hmm.
It's unexplorable because it's off limits, right? In 1959, they came up with the Antarctic Treaty, and 12 nations signed on. Now another 50, whatever. Now there's like 50, like everyone signed on, and basically saying no one is allowed to explore Antarctica. You can't even question the treaty until the year 2041. Mm-hmm. No treaty has ever lasted that long, but this one goes uncontested. Antarctic Treaty. You can look it up, and then you go from there. Back to you.
Interesting. So I was going to ask, so with the whole Antarctica, so your belief is that nobody has traveled to Antarctica and they are not allowed to go to there? Is that correct?
No, not quite. Okay. You can go. You can take a guided tour to Antarctica. They'll take you to this peninsula. Let me pull up my image again. They'll take you. Where did it go? I just lost Antarctica. They'll take you just to the little peninsula that sticks out off of Santiago. They'll show you some penguins, which may not even be indigenous to Antarctica. And they'll show you icebergs, but you're not allowed to explore the outer lands at all. So, it's very, very restricted. And anybody that tries to go there is turned around by force. And we have videos of some fishermen that tried to go towards Antarctica, and they were stopped by a Navy destroyer, told to leave immediately. When you go to Antarctica, they take you here. Gigantic, because it's bigger than some countries. But you're not allowed to go out here. What's out here? Are we under a dome? Is there more land? Are there more continents? Are there more oceans? We don't know.
Interesting. Okay, well, actually, I kind of want to backtrack a bit. And part of my understanding is I want to see like the journey you've taken to come to this belief that you have of the flat Earth. So like, where did this journey start for you, essentially? And what was the building blocks to which led to you believe the perspective you believe nowadays?
Good question. I was doing a podcast about conspiracies, and I hate using that word, but about deceptions in the world. And people started sending me flat Earth stuff, and I ignored it. Hold on one second. All right. Sorry about that. I just had to quickly respond to something important.
Yeah, no worries.
So I was forced to look into it reluctantly, and I went in with a closed mind. Hey, I'm just going to prove you morons wrong. Everyone knows the Earth is a globe. We learned it 2,000 years ago, and I found out everything I thought about the globe. Every proof that I thought I had is untrue. Bill Nye, the lying guy with the bow tie, says when a boat goes over the curve of a ball, you lose it from the bottom up. He's absolutely right. Unfortunately, we don't live in Narnia on a ball, right? We live on a flat plane, and there's reasons that things disappear from the bottom up, not going over a physical ball. For example, if we live on a ball, like they tell us, you know how the circumference of our globe ball is?
How big is it?
Yeah, what's the circumference?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
So this is the point. And by the way, don't feel bad. Yeah. I didn't know any of the questions I'm going to ask you when I first got into this. Yeah. Right. But I defended the globe with just assumed proofs, and I knew none of the details. So it's 24,901 miles around. If you use globe math, a 6-foot tall person standing at the edge of the water should see a physical horizon no farther than 3 miles away. No, because of the curve. The water's going to drop below my eyesight.
You said 30 miles, correct?
3. At 3 miles, this is globe math. At 3 miles, the drop is 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm 6 feet tall, I'm only going to see an edge, a physical edge 3 miles away. And then any water beyond that will be below that physical horizon. You understand?
Mm.
And the problem is we can see much farther than that. That's why you just said, no, you mean 30 miles. 30 miles, it's much deep. There's hundreds of feet of curvature, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, when something is, when something is farther than that, you should not be able to see it unless you believe it's magically refracting up to eye level, and then you see it. But we can zoom in. Today's consumer optics have made it so we can see too far. Like, for example, do you see a boat out here?
No, I do not.
No. But as I zoom in and increase the angular size, a boat shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Right. And so perspective, things get smaller. Now, as I zoom out, we know that this thing is in view, a straight line from me. And as I zoom out, it starts to disappear from the bottom up. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The little waves in the foreground block it. Like my finger cannot block my chin to my nose unless it's closer to you. And then it could block the whole bottom of my face.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is just showing that things disappear because of angular resolution, right? Here's another example. Right here, we got a camera level at the top of the table. And as we zoom in, increasing the angular size, all of a sudden you can see this. We'll call it a boat. We can see it.
Mm-hmm.
And as I zoom out, its angular size, the reflection from the table, the miraging, make it disappear. But if I lift up, I can now see farther than that thing. Right? So people go, well, on a ball, if you go up higher, you can see farther over the ball. Same thing on a flat earth. If I stack 3 more boats on top of that, when I'm zoomed out, you'd see the top 3, but you wouldn't see the bottom one. If I dragged it farther away, next one would disappear. It disappears from the bottom up. These are things that they don't teach you about your eyes in school.
Interesting. Because I know, to add on to this, I think from this example right there, I think one of the examples or reasons why this would happen, I think, was due to the lack of resolution in our eyes, is our eyes aren't able to pick up that small, minute bump or object in the distance. But
we're
I know
on the
as well
same page.
too. Yeah, I agree with that. But as well too is, I think what's really important as well too is when you do look out at the ocean, and I think you mentioned this about the water as well too, how you said the water's flat, right? But I think a better way to explain that is the water is perpendicular to the globe, or in your case, the flat Earth itself. Correct? Is that something that you might agree with?
I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, other than you're saying that any point of the water, the flatness of the water, is perpendicular to the center point of the Earth.
Correct.
Gravity.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
So you should be able to see curvature, physical curvature, and we never can. We've tested it with lasers, with mirror flashes, with radar and stuff. So, for example, here is a spot in Aluja, France, where it's a famous viewing spot over the water, because out here is Mount Canigou, which is 175 miles away. Mm-hmm. Now, globe math, calculating the height of the observer and the distance, says that the top of Mount Canigou should be a mile below the physical curve. But 2 times a year, when the sun is migrating in between its 2 tropics, the sun lines up with the viewer. Now, you can't see Mount Canigou at night if it was in view, because there's no light coming off of it. The light bouncing off of it from the sun isn't strong enough to push through the thickness of the atmosphere, just like you can't see the far end under the wall under a pool, even if the water's clean on the far end, because just the density of the what you're looking through. So 2 times a year, the sun gets right in line with Mount Canigou and it backlights it. And right here, the top of Mount Canigou should be a mile below the curve, but it's not. It's right there. We can see too far. Our consumer day optics have blown away their nonsense. And the only answer that you can say is this is a refracted image. Well, how's a refracted image blocking the actual sun? It's right there. It's clear. we see in straight lines. Things get too small to see, but when you zoom in on them, they come back into view.
Interesting. I don't necessarily have an explanation for that. I understand the concept of a mirage.
I do.
And how I know there's a picture of the Chicago skyline from 60 miles away.
Yeah.
And you can see it. And according to quote unquote curved science, you shouldn't be able to see it. But because of the ability of the water to refract light itself, you're able to see that. And I know for myself, I do understand that. I do not scientifically know how to disprove this yourself right there.
Let's talk about
I do have a question though about, say, the sun itself.
Yeah.
How come,
by the way, so do I.
Okay.
But before you ask the question, don't forget the question. Chicago. Now, mirages are a real thing, but they're wavy and they change with atmospheric conditions. And they change.
You can see it on the road when you're driving on a hot day.
Yeah, well, that's and then there's Fata Morgana, mirages, but it's upside down. But we have a time lapse of Chicago that goes over 24 hours, right? Day and night, changing temperatures, changing humidity, changing everything, and it's still there and it never moves. We've also gotten on a boat, put a camera on the mirage that we shouldn't be able to see, the city, and we drove the boat watching the camera with the whole time. And when does the mirage turn into the real thing? We never lost sight of it. So that right there proves that it's not a mirage. We were told by that famous weatherman, it's a mirage because it's not there. You're actually seeing a mirage, and he explains how mirages work, and it's half right. But we've proven that wrong by taking the distance, driving a boat.
But what is the distance that we can see now through, say, the Earth is flat, and I'm standing on a completely flat surface? How far can I see without any interruptions to any landscape changes or buildings or objects that may be in the way? Would I be able to see all the way across? Because in theory, if it's flat, I should be able to see across, because if I look up in the skylight, there's nothing obstructing my way. I'm able to get the light from up in the sky directly straight into my eyes with no obstruction from millions of miles away. How come I cannot see an object from, say, 300 miles away if it's not obstructed?
I'm going to explain that very easily. And your comment that they're millions of miles away, that's something that scientism has told you. You don't know that these lights that you're seeing in the sky are millions of miles away. And I could actually prove that they're not. I can't prove how far they are. Yeah. I can't prove how big they are, but I can prove they're not what you're seeing. Well, so we'll touch on that. So imagine you're in a big swimming pool, Olympic-sized swimming pool. You're at one end, and you go under the water, and you look toward. And I drew a paint, I don't know, a big smiley face on the wall underwater. You can't see it. Why can't you see it?
Through the water.
You can't see it. But as you swim towards it, it'll come into view, right?
How far away?
A 50-yard pool. You can't see it in a 20-yard pool. Trust me, I'm a swimmer. I know. Perfectly clear water. You can't see the other end. Now, maybe if there was a light on the other end, you could see the light because the light can push through. But the thickness of the air, just like here, okay? These mountains are all the same color. This is the same color, same. But the air just becomes more and more dense, and then it turns into sky. There's more mountains out here. But if you're in the pool and you're only a foot under the water and you look up, you can see the ceiling. Okay. And it was just farther away than the other end of the pool, supposedly, but depending on what size room you're in, of course. And that's because you're looking through less density, right? Less density. When you're looking up, our atmosphere is very thin, but when you're looking down, right? And the way I look at it is get a tray, get a cookie sheet or whatever, something, and put like 2 or 3 inches of water in it, and put a ruler upright, a 1-foot ruler. You stick it in, you're looking straight up. There's 3 inches of water. The ruler's under 3 inches of water. I put it over to 45 degrees, maybe like 4 inches of the ruler's in the water. I put it down a little farther, all of a sudden 11 inches in the water, and a little farther, the whole thing's underwater. So the question to you is, how far can we see? It depends on atmospheric conditions. It depends on the height that you're at. Can I see New York City from where I am in Connecticut? Yes, but the bottoms of the buildings are missing a little bit, okay? And that's not due to curvature. That has to do with the same reason that the boat disappeared, but also another reason. Over distance, things get compressed. This building, you can't see the bottom floors. Now, a glober would say it's over the curve. But notice that these porches or these terraces, they're all the same height But what's happening here? We're getting what's called atmospheric compression, and they literally compress so where you can't see them anymore. You zoom in a little farther, maybe you can see them, but it becomes a point where you can't see them. The wave front edge hides things. Like this boat, you can't see the deck, the back deck. It looks like it's underwater, right? And if that boat was all the way out here behind this little wave right here, half the boat would be missing. Because the boat would be smaller. This wave might not be all the way at the horizon. And then a glober would say, oh, it's because it's behind a curve. No, it's just behind a wave. It's just behind, we're losing its angular size.
Interesting. That's an interesting fact I did not know. And it does explain why you may not be able to see something if it's above the horizon or above in my perspective, the curvature of the Earth. But I do want to kind of switch gears and go back to the sun. I know we were going to talk about that a bit. So for starters, how does the sun and moon rotate around the flat Earth?
So how or what's the motion? So
yeah, like both, I guess. Yeah, like how would you explain it?
So here's the motion that we see, and they just happen to be opposed to each other. They're not always opposed to each other. They circle around. Let's talk about. Let me share my screen actually.
Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
I'm going to show you. This is my app. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock App. Right.
Yeah.
And so let's just talk about the motions. Then we'll talk about what the sun might be, where it is. Okay. So the sun goes around. Let me speed it up, and it goes around once every 24 hours. And as you see, it's gaining distance on the moon because it's going a little faster than the moon. And after 28 times around, it will lap the moon. So the moon, as it's getting farther away from it, excuse me, is changing its phases. And when it's opposed to it, you'll have a full moon, and then it'll start waning as it comes back. So a lunar month is 28 days, give or take, whatever, a couple hours, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the sun keeps track of the hours and the days. The moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. And if I turn on the stars are going in the same direction. No matter where you are on Earth, the sun, moon, and stars rise in the east and set in the west. Clockwise, counterclockwise, nonsense. They all come from the east and go to the west, no matter where you are, because they're circling over the Earth. So the stars, by the way, will lap the sun once a year. So the sun will slowly drift from constellation to constellation for about a month in each constellation. So the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. So let's just go a little farther. So right now it's November 9th. I'm going to jump forward to December. And December is our winter solstice. Where are you located? What state?
I live in Canada, actually. Surprise, surprise.
All right. So it's cold. You know why it's cold?
Look
how far away the sun is from Canada. Look, it's all the way out here. But guess what? It's over South America, Central America, and it's going to go right over Australia. They're going to have their summer because the sun is over them. You ever been out on a long straight street where you have street lights?
Yes.
Okay. Imagine you're standing under a light. That's your summer sun. Unfortunately, it's not really your summer sun because the sun never gets that close to you. But if you were in Miami, let's come forward. Watch this.
It may feel like it's right over you then.
5, 6. So in June, the sun is over the Tropic of Cancer, which is that inner yellow line, right? So if it comes around, if you're in Miami, the sun's directly over you. So that's the street light that's right over you. The street light that's way down the road is lower in the sky. It's farther away. That's your winter sun. So right now, and this is June 10th, the sun, this is as close as it's going to get to you. And when something's closer, like a street light, it's higher in the sky. Okay. The sun is sending electricity here. That's why it's cold. It's exciting, the molecules that it hits, and that creates the heat. The higher up you go, the thinner the atmosphere, the colder it gets, right? The sun, I don't even think is hot. It's more like a Tesla coil sending energy here. And, plants, think about this. Plants grow in sunlight. It's sending electricity to them. You put a plant in front of a fluorescent light, it'll grow. Put it in front of a fireplace, it'll shrivel up and die. Okay. So our seasons, by the way, seasons prove the Earth is flat, not that it's a globe. Because you know that during our summer in the north, is the sun closer to the Earth in the heliocentric model, or is it farther from the Earth during our summer?
During our summer, is it closer or is it farther away?
Right. It's one of those according to the heliocentric model.
I'm not 100% what the answer would be to that, but I know the position because of the tilt of the Earth. It would appear to be shining more directly towards during the summertime. It's pointing more directly towards the northern hemisphere due to the tilt of Earth.
Good. Well, good that you know that false belief, but now use your mind. All right. They don't want you to use your mind. The sun during our northern summer, let me turn the app off for a second.
Yeah.
The sun during our northern summer is farther away, 3.5 million miles farther away than it is during our winter. So think about this. And it's harder for you to see this in Canada, but I'm in Connecticut, and on June 21st, June and July, I can go down to the water, and as soon as the sun appears on the horizon, I can immediately feel the heat on my face, right? 10 minutes later, I really feel the heat, and it's hot. It gets really hot here. So now that's a low angle. So the ball is completely tilted away, way more than the heliocentric model, than the tilt we're talking. So at sunrise, the tilt is extreme, 89 degrees, right? 89-degree tilt. I can feel the heat on my face. The sun is farther away than it is during the winter. Then on December 21st, I could wait until solar noon when the sun is 40, 50 degrees up in the sky, a much more direct angle, 3.5 million miles closer, and I can't feel the heat on my face. That blows away the idea that that we've all been indoctrinated into believing. So how do you find out more information on this? If you Google flat Earth, you're going to get all propaganda. It's so censored. At least they're still allowing it on the internet, but it's censored. And you'll if you Google flat Earth, you can Google the top video, A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, 21 questions, millions of views. But you can Google it with the channel name and it won't come up. It'll show you Simon Dan and Professor Dave. You Google flat Earth, you get Professor Dave, who's an actor, not a professor, and he makes straw man arguments, gaslighting arguments, and he's just a snarky little dork. But here is right here, this question mark. You hit that, and up comes, let it load because they just loaded the app. What about seasons? If I hit what about seasons, up comes a playlist that Google won't serve you of videos that will teach you and help you to make up your own mind. Because that's one thing they don't want. They want us giving away our authority, our free will to authority. Guy in a bow tie told me this. Yeah. They don't want you thinking for yourself. Who should you trust? You should trust yourself.
Absolutely.
I'm going to point towards doors today. I don't want you to, well, I kind of do, but I don't want you to walk away flat earther today. I want you to walk away going, wow, Dave pointed out a lot of things. I got some work to do.
Yeah.
Right. I got some work to do.
That was the big reason why I wanted to get you on here, because as somebody who doesn't believe in the flat earth, I've done research. I've tried to understand what it is. So it's nice to have this information just so I can understand your guys' perspective on things, because I think that's really important. Right. One question, I have a lot of questions I want to ask you still, but one question with regards to the orientation of the sun around the globe.
Right.
What causes the sun to, if it's directly above the globe the whole time and it's spinning around, right?
It's not a globe above the Earth plane.
Flat. Yeah, sorry. Right. And if it's spinning around, what is stopping it from shining all over the flat surface if there's no curvature to the globe to cause the light to not go there? Because as you said before too, is the light can go through the atmospheric pressure regardless of how much compression there is in the pressure. So how come the sun, when it's over
no, I didn't say
South
that.
America, why can't you see it in the other side of the flat earth then, if nothing is stopping the sun from
good question. So what I'm saying is Mount Canigou is only 185 miles away and the sun is able to push, right? But as it goes farther away, you'll lose the sun. And I'll even show you that. Let me show you that right now. So this is filmed facing west. The sun is setting and I watched the sun. This is from a high altitude, from a drone, and a super clear day, and it's below freezing because there's no humidity, super clear. And the sun went In 5 minutes times, it went down, down, down. Now, if the earth was spinning, it would just keep on going, but it didn't. It went down, down, down. It sat here for 10 minutes and then it did this. It didn't go down anymore. It stopped going down. And as it's moving away, its ability to throw its energy through the atmosphere disappears. And so we have this lingering local light. Watch it again. It just faded out. Okay. This is real. People go, that's CGI. I've proven it's real. Even the Globers don't question it. They just go, it's out of focus. I don't care. It's going down, down, down. And then it just fades away.
Okay.
Right. It happened. So fascinating, right? You got to admit that. So let's talk about.
I don't necessarily believe it. I think that there was another technical glitch to explain that. Regardless,
Still did 7 times. Still did 7 times.
Yeah, I know that's fine.
And I show all the different things. So I'm going to show you why.
I just have a question though, because so say this is the disc, right? The flat Earth.
What disc? We're not a disc.
Sorry, whatever. The flat Earth.
The known world. The circle. It's not a wall. It's the shoreline. Go ahead.
Sorry, the ice wall, the shoreline.
Right.
And so if the sun is spinning around the top like this, as you depict in your diagram,
you think that it would be light everywhere because you watched the flat Earth.
And when does it go below the horizon?
It never
I can
does.
Understand if it goes around like this, but if it goes around like this, why isn't it constantly in the sky? Right. And why is there horizon? I don't understand why there's a horizon then if it's constantly above us then at all times.
I'm going to explain that perfectly. So now if you were standing next to at the edge of a forest that had 150 foot high trees, are the tops of those trees above your eye level? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So now
besides
if you were
6 feet below me, but yes.
Yeah. But well, they're up there.
Yeah.
So if you moved a mile away, well, those tops of trees are they're probably still above my eyes. But if you were 5 or 10 or 20 miles away, the tops of those trees, the tops of Mount Everest would look like it's at your eye level because everything merges into the horizon. But in the distance, no matter how far something is, how high it is, it will merge into the horizon if you can still see it. So now let's take that a step further. So this is how our eyes work. And if I could find this video real quick. So as the sun moves away, it moves down. Why are everything again? So, that's not what I wanted. Where is my sun video? Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
As things move away, you agree that they get lower in the sky
as it rotates around the globe.
Well,
in my
no.
perspective. In my perspective.
If we're on Narnia, yes, it does that, but nothing says that at all. Like here's a shot in Bulgaria, super clear day, and you have to believe one of two things: the sun, whatever it is moving away from you, going down because it's just moving away. Or you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound, which is making the sun appear to go away when you don't sense any of that. Okay. This is just a belief that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
See, and if the sun were to stay in that position at all times and go around the globe, I might. Okay, that makes sense.
Here it goes. Here it goes away.
It goes beyond the horizon. So I just don't understand how that stays in the sky.
Right. Again, so it's the apparent horizon
because and like you had said it yourself too, that light is the only thing that can get through the atmosphere. Because
no. I said that the sun's light itself, the direct light, can push farther than the reflected light off of the mountain. Right. Like if I'm standing in a room together with you, you can see me. You see me, or you see the light that's bouncing off of me. You see the light that's bouncing off of
the light that's
to prove that. Turn the lights off, and now you can't see me.
Yeah.
Okay, so the light that's in the ceiling that's bouncing off of me, is that brighter than the light that's bouncing off of me? The light that's in the source is brighter. So the sun is the source. It's brighter. A brighter light can push farther. Okay. Like if I had a really dim light at the far end of the pool, you probably couldn't see it under the water. But if I got a million candlelight one, yeah, you're going to see it because it can push farther. So so that's twice that you said that I said that the sun can go forever. It doesn't. It only goes for whatever distance. So here we go. This is my flat Earth kitchen. We're viewing the sun's path that goes in a straight line. And this could be treetops. It could be Mount Everest. It could be whatever. This is the horizon elevated off the counters down here. And the sun never goes below it. It could be a cloud deck, whatever it is. All right. And the sun never goes below it and it's going level. Now I got a camera on the table at the other end looking this way towards us. Okay. And if I showed you this first, I'd say, is this line going down? And you'd say, yes. And I'd say, is this sun going below this opaque barrier, which is at the camera's eye level, or at least it appears to be, but it's not. It's way above it, like that forest line.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
as it goes, look at that line.
Yeah,
Is
no,
that
I see that. Yeah.
Is that a level line? So now I'm going to compare this to an actual sunset over the water. And what do we see? Here's an actual sunset. Is that the horizon, or is that the horizon?
But if so,
hold on. Just look before you talk, and then you go. This
Yeah.
is going behind what I call the atmospheric deck of opacity. That's where the atmosphere is too thick for the sun to go through. So it's just going beyond it like that. It's not going down, it's going beyond it.
Definitely.
And that's what you're seeing right there.
So I do understand your analogy about how it does look like it is going down in your kitchen. But I think the flaw in your analogy is that the Coke bottles are 80% taking up about 80% of the space between the ground and the sun. When in reality, on your concept, it's everything on the horizon takes up maybe about 1%, if that even, of the distance between the ground level and the sun. So I don't understand in that analogy how those bottles.
I will explain
that, because in theory, if you're going to keep everything relative in terms of how big and scale it up properly, I would say you'd have to use something that is
kitchen is
itsy bitsy small.
My kitchen is only
to like the real world.
My kitchen is only so big, so you can do this yourself. Go out where you have a huge view, and on a day where there's cumulus clouds that are nice and spread out, and they're all sitting on that flat deck, and you look up at the clouds over your head, and they're clearly up high. But then I'm here in Connecticut. I could see New York City, which is about 25 miles away, and those clouds are literally merged with the water. Now, I can prove that they're not touching the water or going over the curve because I can zoom in and see everything that's in between them. Because I'm in a terrestrial point of view, everything on my hand here is a terrestrial object, and the whole thing merges together. I zoom in, I increase the angular size, I can see them. Clouds are really up here. This is the terrestrial view. Now, so all of those clouds merge together, and because I'm looking across them, I can no longer see the blue sky between them because cloud, and they all come together, right? So that
just
creates.
Quick question: are you when you ask or when you say you're zooming in, are you changing the point at which you're looking at, or are you just magnifying?
I'm magnifying. I'm increasing the size.
But that doesn't necessarily change your actual perspective from where you are. You're just increasing the resolution of what you can see. So I don't understand.
So let me explain.
That's not the same thing then.
Yes, it's 100% the same. If I'm sitting here and the clouds are merged together, I can do a slow zoom and separate them and see them, or I can keep the camera at the same focus, all the way zoomed out, and get on a boat or a car and go there and just watch everything open up the same. It's exactly the same thing. When I zoom in, it's like I'm moving forward. When I zoom out, it's like I'm moving back. These are things you can test yourself.
But not if the picture that you originally taken is at point A, and then you zoom in, you don't miraculously move to point B. You're still at point A. The angle at which you took the picture at is still the same. You're just magnifying the resolution from point A, but you're not actually moving to point B, though, if that makes any sense.
Can you see what's in my hand?
No.
Okay. If you zoomed in, like this is far in the distance. Zoomed in, you would open up the angular resolution and you'd see that I have a remote control in my hand. Okay. But you lose sight of that remote control when everything zooms together and its angular size is too small. So why can't we zoom in and see the sun? Because the sun is not a terrestrial object. The sun is a celestial object. So as the sun goes beyond, it goes beyond this cloud, we see it. It goes beyond that cloud, we see it. But this cloud is merged with the horizon and it just goes beyond it. And it goes down and it looks like it goes down. Its light can't push through. Now, here's a simple thing you can do. Go in a pitch black room and get a flashlight or a candle and put the candle on the floor on a big round table, whatever. And you'll see that the candle just sheds a light in a small area and the rest of the room will be dark. Now, the other side of the room, you can still see that candle. I agree. Yeah. But now add atmosphere and density, you can't see the candle anymore. We can prove that because, I did with the sun fade out video. The sun fade out video proves it. that you just can't see. When you look at things going into the distance, they get dimmer, and the throw of the sun's light. Like when the sun rises in the morning, before it rises, you can read a book on the back side of your house, on the western side of your house.
Yeah.
How is that possible? What's going on there? Okay. And the answer is because the sun, there's a thing called daylight and sunlight, two different things. One is the direct light from the sun. The other one is like the backlight a photographer uses.
Mhm.
The sun's electricity lights up the sky. But most of the sky is nitrogen up there, and nitrogen fluoresces blue. Fascinating, right? It might be lighting up the dome, but it's like a Tesla coil. Moving it by a whole bunch of light bulbs, it'll just light up the ones that are just near it. So the sun lights up the sky for the daylight, and then the direct sunlight is direct sunlight.
Interesting. So a few more, a lot of questions. This is awesome. It's so much fun. But how would you explain lunar eclipses?
Yeah. So a lunar eclipse, they tell us, is the sun is the Earth getting in between the moon and the sun, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Okay. So there's so many things wrong with the lunar eclipse. One, when you're using a sphere to cast a shadow on another sphere, as you bring that sphere up, it doesn't come up like a perfect shape move. It comes in as an ellipse, it rounds out, and then it leaves as an ellipse. And that's not what we see. But worse than that, there's a thing called the Selenian eclipse. And that's where the eclipse starts before the observer sees either the sun or the moon drop below the horizon. Now, if it's the Earth that's causing the eclipse, then one of them would have to be below your horizon. They would have to be, in a straight line. But the eclipse started first, and last year we had an eclipse where it came in from the top. If this is causing the eclipse, it should come in from the bottom, right? The fact that we can see the sun and the moon above the horizon when the eclipse starts proves not what it is. It proves that it's not the Earth. Okay. So now, again, in the app, what about eclipses? Tons of great videos there. Bring food and water if you click that up.
Yeah, I will bring the popcorn as well too.
Yeah.
So your explanation for lunar eclipse is that if you are on a globe, you should see the Earth go across the moon it starts off kind of like an oval shape on the moon. Or how would you explain the shape on the moon then?
I was
a bit confused by that one more time.
Yeah, if you get a single source light and then get a ball, a moon, and get another ball, the Earth, and move the ball through the beam of light, and you'll see that its curvature doesn't come in with this perfect curve that just moves and it doesn't change. Right now, if you did it on a wall, like you had a flat moon on the wall, I'm not saying the moon is flat, and you did it with the ball, you would get the curve would be the same. The other problem is the moon's 238,000 miles away. You can't cast a shadow with a sharp edge like that, even a mile. It doesn't work. Take a ball, put it on the ground, an inch over the ground. It has a nice shadow. Lift it up a couple of feet. The shadow's gone. It just blurs. It just fades out. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the whole shadow thing, and then the solar eclipse, even worse. The 2020 or 2019, whatever the last big solar eclipse we had.
Yeah.
The shadow, the supposed shadow of the Earth, of the moon on the sun, on the Earth, was 70 miles wide. Yeah. That would mean that the moon is no bigger than 70 miles wide. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's ridiculous. Again, what about eclipses? Blow your mind in there.
No,
what about eclipses?
I'll definitely have to do that. Yeah, I'll do some research after that as well too on eclipses. Yeah. What do you think about because I know did you ever watch the Flat Earth? I forget what it was called, the Behind the Curve documentary on Netflix.
So is that a documentary or is it a movie made by people that were paid to discredit Flat Earth? Okay. So let me tell you what happened. There's two things in that movie that you saw. One, the ring laser gyro that proved that there's a 15-degree drift. What they cut out of the movie was they took that gyro and they brought it up to a higher elevation. If it was the Earth spinning, well, it should have still been 15 degrees per hour, no matter what elevation you are on the surface of the Earth. But it wasn't. It was a different amount per hour. That proves that it's not the Earth spinning, but they cut that part out. Okay. And in the movie, when they got the results that it was 15 degrees per hour, Bob goes, yeah, we better not let the Globers get this information because they'll run wild with it. But they cut out the part where he said, before we do the test to find out what was causing that. So they literally edited it. And the other part was the experiment that Jaron was doing with the laser. So people say, well, I can level a laser. Nobody can level a laser. But we came up with an experiment, 3 pieces of plywood with a hole in it at the same height. And we used a canal to make sure everything was at the same height off the surface of the canal. And if we could shine the laser through all 3, that proved that the Earth is flat. But if the Earth is curved, that middle one should be several feet. Maybe it was numerous feet higher, and then you couldn't go through. Well, here's what happened. The lasers, by the way, spread out, right? And so the first time we tried it, it was like a 10-foot wide laser. We're like, that's not going to work. So we got a very expensive condenser. Well, the condenser melted. The laser got so hot it melted and we broke the laser, right? Mm-hmm. So we're like, all right, well, we're here, and we're like, hey, raise the light, hold the light in the hole. You see it? No, I don't see it. Now raise it up. And the guy goes, yeah, I can see it now. And Jaron goes, interesting. Because it was interesting. But the problem is, if the Earth was curved, he'd have to raise it up like 27 feet or something for him actually to make a difference. But then it cut right there, right after he said interesting. Then he brought it down, and the guy goes, oh, I can see it now.
Yeah.
Which might prove that the Earth is flat. However, us being rational, critical thinkers, us flat earthers, and there's Globers there too, we said, this didn't prove anything. Too many variables. There was trees. It was dark. The laser broke, and we all walked away saying it proved nothing. It might have proved the Earth if you had to make a decision. It was more flat Earth, but they edited it, put it in the movie. These are the same people that made hit pieces on a very famous Connecticut school that had a crazy guy that go to the school. I don't want to say it if this is going on YouTube because they'll censor it. Mm-hmm. But these people are paid movie producers to do propaganda. So there you go. Sorry for the long explanation, but when people bring this one up, this is not a documentary. It's a movie hit piece.
No, it's like I said before, this is super interesting and informative. Just kind of understand your perspective on this stuff, because I've never actually had a talk or a discussion with anybody like this. And like I feel like a lot of the reasons why you do question a lot of these things and get into conspiracy theories is due to your mistrust of the government and people in power, correct?
No. Yeah, that's not why I got into it. I was first looking into what is money. I was like, money is really interesting. How does it work? Right? Because they never really taught me in school. Yeah. And I started researching money, and I'm like, wow, money is just a control method. It's fake. It's monopoly money. And then I found out that the IRS is not even federal, right? It's not even like a government agency. It's a private bank run by a bunch of guys. And then I'm like, this is interesting. And so then, that one thing leads to another. It's like, the problem with the human race, which isn't a problem, but it's the cause of the problem, is everybody is trustworthy. I trust you, right? Yeah. You got a backwards hat on, which is ridiculous, but
it's to block out the sun.
Yeah. Well, I don't like the sun on the back of my neck.
Exactly.
So, or maybe my giant head distracts people, or maybe it makes my headphones more comfortable.
Exactly.
Everyone I live in a world where I'll trust anybody until you burn me once. Well, they've burned us many, many times. This is about control. Okay. This is all about controlling your mind, controlling your ability to live your fullest life. Bad.
Yeah, no, like I love how that you're very open-minded on these situations. I do have a question as well too, because I feel like you are involved in a few other conspiracy theories as well too. If like or not say conspiracy theories, but like say random question though, but like say Sasquatches, like do you believe in say Sasquatches or kind of stories along the lines of that, for instance?
Well, again, in the app, if you hit the Mud Floods Sataria button, which shows our lost history, I believe there was giants here not that long ago. I don't believe dinosaurs existed as explained. There were some giant lizards, but not that long ago.
Yeah.
Do I believe in Sasquatch? I've seen a lot of evidence saying that there are Sasquatchy type animals here,
Yeah.
and I haven't experienced it myself. So I can't say either way. I haven't
fair.
experienced it
That's
myself.
fair. I know for myself because I have a guy I actually work with. Me and him have talked about flat Earth, and we've gone into other conspiracies as well too. And he himself is also into Sasquatches, and so me and him are always the ones to talk about and try and be open-minded with regards to conspiracy theories or unorthodox ideas that society conforms to. But to kind of go back to that explains why I asked about Sasquatches. But to go back to the flat Earth, I do have one question. Like, what do you think, if you could just hypothesize and use your imagination, what do you think is either underneath the flat Earth itself or past the ice wall as well, too?
So first, when you when you say what's underneath the flat Earth, I ask you what's underneath the globe Earth, because they tell us that this is what's underneath, right?
Yep.
But you know how deep the deepest hole that was ever dug is?
I know it was in Russia and it was deep.
7.5 miles, just under 8 miles. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's equivalent to drilling halfway through the skin of an apple, which is pretty damn thin, right? It's probably less than half, but we'll just say halfway through the
surface.
skin.
Yeah.
So they use ground penetrating radar to see what they're going to hit next, and they should have gotten their money back because it was wrong every step of the way. Okay. So the ground penetrating radar was wrong every step of the way for the 8 miles. But then they had an impenetrable barrier. They couldn't get through it for years and years and years. They finally closed up the hole. But somehow we know what the next 4,000 miles is. Okay. And they tell us it's a molten magnetic core. Well, if you know what the Curie point is, a Curie point is when you heat a magnet, before it melts, it gets so hot, it loses its magnetism. There's no such thing as a melted magnet. It doesn't exist. Right. So what is beyond Antarctica? And the answer is we don't know, because again, it's off limits. But there's some stories. One of the books in the app and the books page is called The Iron Republic. Very interesting. It talks about somebody that found an opening in Antarctica and ended up out in this ocean and then came across more land. And there was people on it. And the story was those people came from here in the 1600s when there was tyranny going on. Imagine that, tyranny in this beautiful world we live in. Okay. So here's the thing. This is speculation. Do I believe there's more land beyond Antarctica? Yeah, I do. Okay. Do I believe that there's life out there? I don't know. Maybe. There very well might be. But if you called this extra territory, extra terra, if you live there, what might you be considered to somebody that lives here? An extraterrestrial. And if you came visiting us in this inner space, where did you come from? Outer space. An extraterrestrial from outer space, right? So now here's a map that was supposedly found in Japan from 10 centuries ago, showing all of these other continents. What's out there? I don't know, but that's the answer. We're not allowed to go to Antarctica. There's islands all the way around. There's like islands here. There's like eight or nine different islands. One of them is the Falkland Islands. Remember that? The Falkland War, right? Why are we fighting over this little island off of New Zealand? And it was because these are all naval bases run by the Crown, and anybody that tries to get to Antarctica is stopped by force, sent home, and jailed. Okay? Why are they protecting ice? They say that there's nothing there, right? Amelia Earhart, by the way, this is her trip. She went around. She went west or she went east. East is a circle, right? East and west are circles around the flat Earth. East and west are circles around the globe Earth, right? Nobody has circumnavigated south, right? Here's a little experiment you do. Here's the center of the flat Earth. Here's our magnet. And this compass is pointing towards the magnet. I'm trying to push this compass west, and I have to keep turning to maintain a western heading. I have to turn. This is the same on a globe, okay? If I try to go east, right? East is here on the compass. Well, I got to keep turning, because if I keep going straight, I'm going south. Every straight line becomes south, right?
Yeah.
So billions and billions and billions of people have circumnavigated east and west. If I try to dead wreck in west and I don't correct my course to the north, I'm heading south. And I end up in Antarctica, which is the outer lands the outer area of our Earth,
Mhm.
right? If I try to go south on a globe, I should pop up over here if I go south of Africa. But no one's ever done that. Nobody has ever circumnavigated south north and popped up on the other side of the world. If I head north, I'm heading north until I pass the North Pole, and now I'm heading south. You see the compass just did a 180?
Yep.
Okay. So every straight line ends up hitting Antarctica. Fascinating.
Um, another question, just because they keep coming to me now at this
They're
point.
going to
This
keep
is awesome.
coming.
This is I love this. How do you explain the North Star in Polaris about how it disappears once you do reach the southern hemisphere?
Okay. You and I are in a nice big room.
Yeah.
10-foot high ceilings.
Love
There's
it.
nothing in the room.
Yeah.
And we have random recessed lights, and one of them will say that's the North Star. Okay.
Yeah.
Slightly off to the side. Now expand that room to the size of a city.
Okay.
Right. And I say, go for a walk 5 miles that way. You go that way 5 miles. Right. So you go 5 miles, you're heading towards the outside of the room. Well, within a mile, I can't see you because that floor has merged with the ceiling, right? In a Vegas hallway in some of those hotels, far end of the hall, the ceiling merges with the floor. That's just in the hallway in a hotel, right? A mile away, it's merged. You're 5 miles away. I can't see you. Now, if I had a super zoom camera, I could open it up and I could see you again, but I can't. And I say,
unless you went behind the curvature of the globe.
Hold on, we're not in Narnia. We're on a flat surface, and now we're in this room. It's flat, and I say, Matt, look up. Tell me the stars that you see.
Yeah,
I can't see any of those stars. I'm like, I see the North Star. Can you see it? You're like, nope, I can't see it because you're too far away. And now add atmosphere in there and stuff even before it merges with the floor merges into the atmosphere. There's been many reports of observatories as far as 30 degrees south that have seen Polaris. Those observatories have been shut down since they made those reports, right? That's impossible. Impossible. See what I did there? And that's another thing. Are you familiar with the Georgia Guidestones? Maybe not because you're in Canada.
No, I do not know about that.
So the Georgia Guidestones are this crazy Stonehenge-like structure that was popped up in Georgia here in the United States in 1981, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's got in 8 different languages, 10 commandments of the world for the New World Order, basically. That's a whole nother story. But in the stones, there's this little hole right here, right? And when you look through that hole, right, it's been up for over 40 years. What do you see? You see Polaris. Do a time lapse. All the stars go around. How can we be corkscrewing through space in 4 different directions at once, traveling 4.5 billion miles a year in one of those directions, and Polaris never moves, right? We're corkscrewing through space like this in your helio nonsensical bullshit model, okay? All right? So we're corkscrewing all these different directions. So let's talk about the speeds. I told you before, at the equator, we're spinning 1,000 miles an hour. So when you watch the sunset, you're falling over backwards at 1,000 miles an hour. And that's why the sun is appearing to go down, okay? We're orbiting. You have no idea how fast, right?
Too fast, yeah, so fast.
66,600 miles an hour, okay? 66,000 miles an hour. How fast is 66,000 miles an hour, okay? Let me get, you know what? I'm going to just bring it. Actually, let me do this. So 66,000 miles an hour. We're chasing the sun at, want to take a guess?
No.
We're chasing the sun at close to different estimates, but 500,000 miles an hour. Okay. So I'm going to quickly share my screen here for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
I know. Thank you. I'm trying to talk while I
no, like I meant go for it.
All right. So, oops, I got to just stop that 1 second. I got to share with sound. So let's take the slower speed, the 66,000 miles an hour. This is called the hypersonic sled. Okay. Now watch how fast this thing goes. Ready?
Yep.
All right. Let's watch it one more time.
Beautiful.
We're orbiting the sun 10 times faster than that, and we're chasing the sun at 100 times that speed. Okay. So here's the question. Who told us that? Who told us that? These are the guys at NASA told us that, right? Who are liars, right? Then we look at this. This is called nature. This is called nature. Nature doesn't lie.
Nope.
Use your common sense. Are we going 100 times faster in one direction, a curved direction, by the way, and corkscrewing 10 times faster than that, the hypersonic sled, and then we have water that does this? This is all you need to know that the heliocentric bullshit model is complete and total nonsense. Okay?
Well, I think that's just because the nature itself is part of the globe. It's spinning with the globe itself. It's part of it. And then the atmosphere itself is protecting the globe from all the conditions outside.
Cool story, bro.
Love it. Love it.
Hey,
yeah.
Matt,
Yeah.
I have to say that's the most, I'm going to say it, retarded thing I've heard all week. Okay? It's just part of it.
Yeah.
Use your common sense, dude.
Hey,
that is nonsense.
And then go back to you as well too. I'm gonna say the last hour I've heard the most retarded stuff as well too.
Okay, so
as
give
much
me your.
as I appreciate and I accept
appreciate
it. I
that.
love it as well too.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So let's do this.
I love it.
Give me your best proof that the Earth is a globe. What do you have that's your best proof of the Earth being a globe?
My
Just one.
Just well, I mean, besides pictures themselves.
Wait, hold on.
I know.
Pictures.
Yeah.
Pictures.
Yeah, I love pictures.
You love pictures, right? Did you watch Jurassic Park?
I did actually. It was a good movie. Except
this
the last
is proof
one, the last one was crappy though.
This is dinosaurs are real because I have a picture.
Yeah.
Right. I have a picture. So what pictures are you referring to? Are you referring to these pictures of this planet, which is both of these by NASA, which are over 2 years apart, but none of the clouds changed? Are you talking about this picture of Earth where the United States got twice the size somehow? Okay. Are you talking about this photo of Earth that was on everyone's iPhone that the creator of it, Robert Simon, a NASA visual artist, admitted he made it in Photoshop from strips of data, and he's the lazy Photoshopper. He used the same clouds again and again. Are those the pictures that you're talking about?
Well, I say just in general pictures themselves of the Earth, and you can go online as well too and see live pictures from satellites. And I think just the concept of satellites being out there and us being able to have this Zoom meeting online with satellites is proof that the world is round, because you have these satellites circling the globe.
Yeah.
And then gravity itself shows as well too that the Earth is round, because these satellites rotate around things. There's gyroscopes. Like I know ex Air Force pilots and people who worked on these planes and gyroscopes. I worked with one this summer who was explaining how gyroscopes worked and how the curvature of the Earth is needed to know. They need to know that to calculate the speed of these planes, the direction of their trajectory that they fire at enemies. I know my buddy who is an ex-military Marine, they had to calculate the curvature of the globe to be able to shoot a certain distance, because the bullet drops around the curvature of the globe. So it's all these things, small things that come together that create my reality, my perception of reality, that make me understand that the world is a globe, and the whole universe itself is full of other planets that are spherical in shape because gravity's pulling them all together and they're all rotating.
These are all unsupported claims that you have zero proof of. So
I have
let's
a
just
lot
start
of proof
with
of it. Actually, it's all online. I don't have any with myself right now.
But
there's a lot of proof out there as well too to justify my claims as well too, along with your claims as well too.
There's actually none. So let me address some of the things
more than yours.
We're having. Well, I'm showing you proof so we can see too far. I'm showing you proof that 99% of all communications are done with undersea cables. Right, the layout of the undersea cables prove that we're not a globe, because there's like nothing from Santiago to Australia. It goes all the way up into the north. Plane routes prove
that's how we connect the internet together. That's Ethernet cables.
Yeah. So are we going to a satellite, or are we connecting on these cables?
Wi-Fi is to satellite.
Wi-Fi is not to satellite.
Wi-Fi GPS is to satellite.
So that's another false belief. Let's unwind that one. Do you know who the largest consumer of helium in the world is?
No idea.
NASA owns all of the helium companies in the world, and they launch what they call satelloons, which are satellites hanging from balloons. Okay.
Yeah.
And they admit that there's tens of thousands of these things up there. They can control where they go by electrostatically raising and lowering them into different wind conditions, different wind channels. And this is your satellite. Now, I'm not even claiming that GPS is used by satellites, because GPS doesn't work when you're out over open ocean. It doesn't work in the Southern Oceans. It doesn't work over the Amazon jungle. Why are there no GPS? Why are there no satellites, in those areas? Okay. And the answer is because it's all done with ground-based towers, and there's no towers in the middle of the Amazon. There's no towers between California and Hawaii when your plane goes into approximator mode when it's like 100 miles offshore. Okay. GPS is the ground positioning system. It used to be called LORAN, but then they put a graphic overlay on it in the 80s or 90s, whatever it was. And that's provable by where you can't get GPS. And these things are crashing all over the world, and they quickly scoop them up. But everybody with their cell phones are getting pictures and videos of them. And these are not falling out of space. They're on balloons.
Okay. I don't necessarily, I understand that what you're kind of bringing. I don't believe that. I'm just going to keep it very blunt with you.
You don't believe it?
No. And I think as well too, is I've been in planes as well too, where you can, on a clear day, when you're on a plane, you can see the curvature of the earth. So not only do I have a general understanding of the concepts that make the earth round, is I've been in a plane before where I've actually seen the curvature of the earth as well too. And on top of like the whole gravity thing as well too.
Let's do one thing before you get into gravity. Yeah. Let's address your plane.
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson admits that you can't see the curvature of the earth from even as high as Felix Baumgarten space jump 127,000 feet. He said the earth is too big to see the curvature from this height. Okay.
You can see it right there though. You can see how it's round at the top. That's curvature.
No. That's called a fisheye lens. All of this land, we can tell by the lakes and the rivers. This is all New Mexico. New Mexico now covers a third or a quarter of the earth. Okay. Yeah. This is a fisheye lens. All right. When you go up to 100, this is 120,000 feet, flat and stationary. The sun is right here. Okay. And it's lighting up a local area of the earth. Right. So you can't see the curvature from an airplane, because the way you see is the same distance, depending on the conditions, in all different directions, which creates a flat circle. So the other thing is, if you look at the Earth curvature formula, when you're flying in an airplane, the horizon that you see should be like 70 or 80,000 feet below you, right? When you're flying at like 30,000 feet, the horizon should be below you at that. I'm trying to find a graphic for you just so you can see it. Here we go.
Yeah.
So at 39,000 feet, the horizon should be 242 miles away on the ground. On the ground. If you're at 39,000 feet, it should be 242 miles away. The drop would be another 39,000 feet. So in an airplane, the horizon that you see should be 78,000 feet below you. But in an airplane, you can look out the left window, you can look out the right window, see the horizon, and draw a line, and it's going to go right across your eyes. They're both at the same level. It should be 78,000 feet below you, okay? But you think you see a curve because of the way your eyes work. When you look forward, you see the same distance in all directions, okay? So this is looking at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You see the same distance before the atmosphere pushes together, right? So here you are standing. You see the same distance in all directions, whether you're on an airplane or whatever. And this is the same distance as this. But if you draw a straight line, you're going to say that's the curve of the earth. No, that's just the limit of your eyes. That's the limit of your eyesight across the earth plane, right? Go onto a big football field, put a football on the 10-yard line, go to the opposite end zone, lay down and put your head on the ground and look at that football. And that football will be sitting right on your horizon. Then stand up and you can see the rest of the field all the way into the end zone. Okay. Now that proves that your football field is a globe, according to you. But that just shows you that you increased your angle, increase the angular size. You can now see the land beyond the football. But when you're laying down, that football is going to be laying on the horizon. Even some of the bottom of the football will be missing because of some of the grass blades ahead of it will create a false horizon. But when you stand up, you can see the last 10 yards into the end zone and into the clubhouse.
Cool. Okay, well, actually, another question that's kind of popped in my head, because you were saying because the angle at which you can't see the sun, correct? Is that why there's the horizon? I forget exactly, but say if I forget exactly how you explained it, so pardon me if I said that wrong, I probably did. But when you're in a plane, however many feet above the globe or the flat earth, how can you not see the sun then that's on the other side of the flat earth? If you're so high above, how come you aren't able to see the sun? How come it's still below the horizon when the earth is below you and the sun's above you? How does something below you affect your field of view when you're above it?
Well, it's the same. You can see the sun much farther. Like when I had my drone up watching that sun fade out, my friends were at the beach and they saw the sun set from the bottom up 10 minutes earlier, but somehow I could still see it. And if I was in an airplane, I could see even farther. But the height of an airplane and the distance that the sun is, it still merges into that cloud deck, into that atmospheric deck. Even if you're above the clouds, it merges into the atmospheric deck. But there has been many flights. Like there's a flight from California to Germany, and the whole time the sun never set. And we tracked it. Someone did a time lapse, and we could see all the cities and stuff. But the sun never set. And then it made it all the way to Germany. So I think California, north, all the way across over to Germany. And the sun just went around and it never set. So your claim that you can't see the sun, I'm saying you can. Okay? You can.
I'm saying you can't though, because I've been on a
plane. You can.
No. This is my conclusion. So this is the flat earth, right? Correct? If you're up here, right?
Much closer.
Yeah. An analogy. I mean, it's an example like you do in your kitchen where it's just like the scale of everything is a bit off. But so the ground's at my lap right now. I'm right here.
Right.
And the sun's up here. How does the ground block my field of view from something that's up here?
Right. So
the angle doesn't work there. It
actually does work. It actually does work.
Dimension where the laws of physics are different now.
No. So think about this. A truck at the end of your street, like on Long Street, and you have a truck, a regular Mack truck, but it's a half a mile down the road. That truck, the top of that truck is going to look like it's at your eye level, but you know it's higher, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're standing under a street light, which is above you, 25 feet above you, whatever it is. Okay. And you're watching those street lights go down, and the street lights that go beyond that truck, eventually that light will be blocked by the truck. Because here's the truck.
Because the truck's above my eye level.
The truck's above your eye level, but it looks like it looks like it's at your eye level.
But
okay.
But there's no truck though when you're in a plane. There's only the ground. There's the ground.
No.
The plane. The truck and I am not the same level. The truck's above me, so that's why it blocks my level because it's in my.
That's
field.
Right. And so
the ground's below me, so it doesn't.
The atmospheric deck of opacity blocks the sun. I showed you that with an actual sunset. You didn't comprehend it. It's fine. And you can't, it literally becomes opaque. But as I showed you in this video, the sun is staying up way, way, way too long. Now, if I was flying the other way, the sun would disappear. The other thing is, even if the sun is visual, you can't see it because its light doesn't even make it to your eyes. It'll stop even though nothing's blocking it. There is somebody, and we're trying to find the video, a guy that had balloons up or had a special camera that can see a different wavelength of the sun. And when the sun is nowhere to be seen, he can put on this infrared filter, whatever it was, and there's the sun again. So the light that we see can't go forever. It only goes a certain distance. So these are things that they don't teach you in school. These are things that are blocking you from seeing the plain reality in front of you. And I'm giving you the tools today, which is, and we've gone way over the half hour.
I know,
right?
I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I was ignorant to all of this, and so are you before we talk. Now you have the opportunity to look into it farther for yourself. And here's the thing. What's my name?
Flat Earth Dave.
right? So my first name is Dave.
Yeah.
You know that my first name is Dave?
That is how you would like to be
Is
known
my
as.
first name Dave? Yes or no?
I do not have your birth certificate, but that's how
Okay,
you
so
that's the name you go by, though. Yes.
you believe my first name's Dave. Okay.
Yes, and I have no reason to not believe you.
Right. Okay. Belief takes no effort.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. Like, you know what? I've got $100 bill in my pocket. Okay, you believe me. I don't have $100 in my pocket. So that's a false belief. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? So knowing takes time, energy, thought, critical thought, time, right? And most people are like, I don't have time for that. I gotta go, play a video game or drink a beer or something, or I gotta go to work, right? Work for fake money, right? So I'm giving you the tools, and this is the tool, the app. It's $3. Trust me, it's not about the money. It's about training people. If you want to learn about flat Earth, the app will show you what you need to know. You can spend 500 hours searching the internet. You're going to get so much crap. You're going to just give up. And what you can find in an hour on the app will be like, all right, like every question you have is answered in that FAQ section on the app.
Mm-hmm.
And what I tell people is, I am offering 3 Bitcoins. You follow crypto, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
3 Bitcoins for 1 proof of the globe. But what you have to do is, every day on the app, there's a featured video right on the home screen there. Yeah. Tap that video, watch it every day for 2 weeks. And then if you have 1 proof of the globe, send it to me and you win 3 Bitcoins.
Absolutely. I love that. What would be constitute as proof of the globe? Like a picture, a video?
No, just verify there's curvature. Verify, that we can have a vacuum of space next to a pressurized atmosphere, which breaks every law of thermodynamics. Just prove axial rotation, spin, anything, just any proof at all. But before you said, well, I've got pictures, there's thousands of them. No, there's not. NASA admits they don't have any photos of Earth.
Okay, what about like the Japanese government? I know they have satellites up there that do give you real-time information and pictures about the Earth and
so you're talking about the Himawari 8 satellite, and we found it's all run by NASA, and we found a backdoor, an open server. Maybe somebody tipped us off, an insider, that shows, and it has thousands and thousands of folders of all of the images. And what they do is they have a model of the Earth, a physical model of the Earth, right? The blue marble model of the Earth, or actually, no, I'm sorry. They have just the blue model flat map. They wrap it around in Photoshop around a globe, and then they have real-time weather data every 15 minutes that they put on the globe, and then they put the day-night terminator on there. And we found this server. We have it all in the app under What About Satellites. Look up Himawari 8, and you will see that the Himawari 8 is provenly not a conspiracy theory, provenly a lie. Proven.
Interesting. No, and that's added to the list of things that I shall need to research.
Proven a lie.
Yeah.
Proven.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I enjoyed every second of this, David. Even if we do have very contradicting beliefs, this has been awesome.
Well,
and
no, you have a belief. I have a knowing, and I'm not claiming. I'm not claiming I know what's underneath the Earth, or what's beyond Antarctica, or what's above our head, or who made this place, or why it's here. I know that it's all about controlling our minds, and if they have us believing that we live on a spinning ball lost in space, then they're hiding the creator. They're hiding our true potential. They're hiding the fact that we are free and that nobody has authority over us. They're using it to control our minds, because if you're spinning out of control, lost in space, how are you going to make a proper decision about anything?
And that's valid. I think, and you made a very good point. I think that everybody should get the facts, or understand all the facts that go into a situation and come to a conclusion on their own. And I definitely agree with that statement. I think that's both things we can agree on with that, I think.
And just so you know, people like, flat Earth. Let me just show you in the app. If I hit that little handshake button, these are the other flat earthers just near me. Look at all those dots. Okay. These are other flat earthers.
How many people do you think are a part of the flat Earth community, if you had to estimate?
Well, the way I look at it is my app, I'd say about one. I'm still less than 25% of the people that have my app have even realized there's a friend finder on it or haven't upgraded. So there's only 25% of the people. There's 30,881 people at the time of this that have registered on here. So that's, times 4 is 4 or 5 is the number of people that have the app. And then I think that my app is in the hands of less than 1% of the flat earthers on the world. So we're talking, 120,000 people times 100. That's, what is that? I
1 point or 12
12
million.
million, 12 million, or 120 million, whatever it is. I think it's hard to say, but they're everywhere. They're growing. And here's the thing: once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it.
That's valid.
So,
all right. Do you have any last thoughts or anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
Anybody that sees this, if you know of a podcast, if you have a show, any show with any audience that thinks the Earth is a globe, that's maybe even never discussed flat Earth, get me on that show. Go to flatearthdave.com. There's a booking link where you send some information over, and then we work out the booking details. Flatearthdave.com. Links to the app are there. Links to all sorts of videos. And you don't have to get the app. Just go to the app store and read the reviews. That's all you got to do. Read the reviews, and you'll become a flat earther. And you'll lose the respect of your family and friends also.
Awesome. Well, I loved every second of this. We definitely need to do this again. While you did not give me enough evidence to change my mind, I am very interested even more so on the whole flat earth, and I do want to dive deeper into all the facts all the potential facts that you had brought forward there, and I understand your situation a bit better now. But at the end of the day, though, sorry, what did you say?
I was gonna say, ask Sacha Baron Cohen. He knows. He knows the earth is flat. He knows. He does. He's a flat earther.
Kyrie Irving
is a flat earther, not a dumb guy. Right.
Not a dumb guy at all. No.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like that. I feel you guys do have a misconception at times, though. But anyways, this was awesome. I respect your viewpoint on everything about this, but hopefully we can do this again.
Are you putting this up on YouTube?
Yeah, I probably will be. I know for sure I'll be putting it up at least on my podcast, but I'll most likely be putting it up on YouTube too, just for like the visual aspect or everything, because you did bring that whole PowerPoint system. I don't know how you use that so easily, but
send me the link. Send me the link and I'll share it, and people will get to see how the other side thinks.
Awesome. I love this, David.
All right, man. Thanks.
Ciao, amigo.
See ya. Bye.
Adios.